Hey, good day, Carmies. How are you? As promised, we're gonna have a conversation about taboo. So, my first thing was to not study too much because I didn't want to get ahead of the conversation. I My current personal experience with taboo is things that are not societal normal, but they are accepted in certain social groups. However, some things are extreme acts of repulsion and repulse. So that's my personal take before I actually look at the definition. So let me see. Good old Google, right? Google, right? Okay, so we're gonna do taboo. Okay, and the meaning of taboo. From the drop down, it says saying something that is not acceptable to say, mention, or do. That is, I don't know if you can see this, but you can pull it up. This is what it is, and what is an example of taboo? There are religious taboos, cultural taboos, death taboos, food taboos, horse meat, modern taboos, blah, 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 blah. So, modern taboos are listed as using vulgar topics like sex on television is taboo because the general public thinks it's inappropriate. Uh, Horse meat, that's a taboo. Eating horse meat was prohibited after they were Christianized because it was considered a sign of paganism. Ha. Ooh, food taboos in Chinese culture. It's taboo to leave food on your plate, especially rice. These are some different degrees of taboos. In some cultures, it's taboo to touch or interact with a dead body. Uh, Religious taboos. Eating pork is taboo because pigs are considered unclean. The list goes on, go on. Let's see what taboo is considered in a relationship. Exclude certain close relatives from those considered suitable or permissible sexual or marriage partners. Taboo behavior. A behavior deemed inappropriate by a society or culture. Homosexuality and sex outside of marriage are both taboo behavior in some societies or cultures. So we're going to pin it right there. So here's what will kind of like break apart. So in this generation that we have here, it's like we stopped worrying about the what would Jesus do bracelets that we all used to wear, you know, the what would Jesus do. So we're all kind of like wearing these Pandora bracelets and things like that, right? Fishy, right? Pandora's box, right? So here's the thing. We've gotten so accustomed to living tabooish lives is that now it's the new norm, and now the taboo is a person who actually wants to move in a so-called upright manner. Now, this isn't an unattainable thing. This is something that requires you to actually address some things. Shout out to Trey Melvin, I want to say, because he actually like as soon as I got up today, I seen like a YouTube video show up on my feed, and it was like a little school skit that he was doing, and I want to give him the shout out because he really reinforced what I was saying. So he was, you know, doing his little spiel, how he do his little spiel, because you know he's really good at his little spiel. But The problem with that is that it normalizes a tabooish, I guess, personality character or something. And we forget that our kids are always watching. Like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and no, it's Saturday, and guess who's up? My kid. Because our kids are with us every closed eye ain't sleep. So you have to understand that karmically you are passing down some characteristics unseen that may be tabooish. Maybe perhaps you tell the truth in a wrong way. In a wrong way, your delivery is very abrasive and very rude. To you, you may think that you are right because the truth is coming out of you, but now what you've created is a cycle of rudeness that is now acceptable, and it's not, because depending on where you go at, nobody's gonna play with you. So not only is it a karmic debt that is now being added up, and depending on what generation corrects it or deems it wrong or addresses the situation, um, that depends on the amount of karmic debt that you add on to it. And you got to think about it. That one small thing can create karmic debt. So when you are doing more gross things or more things that are deemed repulsive, especially to God, because see, we keep trying to judge ourselves by, like, this is not our job. Our job is to do the best that we can. Try to inform, in a gentle way, people of, make people aware of what could be right, and not make them feel bad for being wrong, because we are all human and we all have free will. But it is also our responsibility as the ones who might know a bit better to at least point in the right direction. What I found for myself personally is to go to the Bible for just about everything. I mean, if you can just sit down and give yourself time, even if you don't read the Bible, even though, I mean, it's suggested, meditate, sit quietly, try not to self-medicate. Don't, you know, a lot of us have vices, and there's a reason why you adapted or decided that you needed that comfort, because I mean, there's so many great things to do in the world besides, create karmic debt. I mean, really, if you start living in the present and you start really realizing that the energy you put out can be immediately returned to you if it was at a higher frequency, which means like it was coming more from a place of love or acceptance, because you don't have to love everybody, but you can accept them and move it right along. KIM, keep it moving. It's kind of taboo for people when you move that way. They're like, that's so weirdo. And you're like, no, just not really interested in going out of my way to not only please society, but my relationship with my higher self is like so important to me. Like, I feel bad when I do things that I know are of a bad character, when I do things that I know could be better, when I know that maybe that didn't quite come from a place of genuineness, or that maybe my action might affect not only that person but that person's person, or it's just a lot with the taboo thing. And being a good person has become taboo, where being a fake, disgenuine, money hungry, greedy, over sexualized, manipulative, like all of these key words that have come out now to address these things, like, at the end of the day, that's taboo. Like, it really should displease you to know that the mark you're making might not be making a good mark. And just like when you go to school, since that seems to be so important to everybody, but we're still really supposed to be learning from the Most High. The Most High, and check the crown. We're still supposed to be learning and developing. Like, there is no stop to this learning thing. Every time I speak to a person that is outside of myself, that is an opportunity to learn. And the more you know, the more you grow. I'm going to continue to keep talking to you until you get it together. There is no shortcut for this. It's peaceful. It's peaceful when you really start to understand people. Like, it kind of makes it very, very hard to get upset with people when you start asking why, and not just why for the external. You start asking yourself why. Like, why do I see it that way? Why do I feel that way? Why am I interacting? Why am I engaged? Why am I committed to this? Why is this living rent free in my head? And why am I acting this way? What made this start? Like, I can go as far back as maybe about 6 years old to as some of my whys. Like, oh, you know what? That's why. Let's not wait until we become grandparents to get it together. Let's not wait until we're parents to get it together. For this generation coming up, I think we got a pretty good start, actually. I've seen some examples of some great young kids coming up. Of course, I'm going to be partial to one of my own, well, both of my own, because Alex is still young and developing. But I know the oldest one, he's definitely an inspiration to me, as many as other people's kids are an inspiration to me. Like, I have seen some great examples of kids out there, including some of the younger ones in my own family and the ones that we see in the street. Shout out to the elderly mentors, or the elders, the mentors that are still out here trying, their best. I should say now myself, since I'm a little older. I should say that's also taboo to ask my age, but I love my age because I got to it. But yeah, it's great. It's a really great thing to have people that are really trying to kind of redirect the traffic, because we've made some really rough stuff normal, and the gentle treatment just does not exist anymore. We are intellectual beings, and we should act as though. I will be talking about this subject on a deeper level as it goes, because for right now, I'm still trying to get comfortable with talking about it, because I don't want to offend anyone. But it's a necessary talk, and Back to the Basics, that is a great song. You should check it out. It's a soca song. Listen to him. And by the way, he's a youth from Trinidad, and his message is quite clear. Back to the basics. Reset button.